Thanks for listening to the BlockNation Crypto Podcast, simply the most entertaining crypto podcast in the entire industry. My name is Drew Griffin, and in this episode, I break down crypto payments, why merchants are biting at the chomps to accept crypto as a payment, and why as a consumer, you should be motivated to pay with crypto instead of credit cards and PayPal. Make sure you check out my YouTube channel at BlockNation. Make sure you subscribe and follow me at Drew Griffin on Twitter. Make sure you check out our blog at crusader.com/BlockNation. Hope you enjoy. All right, let's get to it. So the first thing I want to talk about is where I really got an introduction in the credit cards and their fees. So back in my early 20s, I was a store manager of a company called Big Techs. Okay, and so I did what any type of manager did. I ran day-to-day operations, make sure all the accounts were settled, make sure the cash register was balanced, trained employees, all the stuff the manager did. And one thing our owner would harp on us was, like any owner would at a company, make sure you're doing whatever you can to increase the bottom line. And so one thing we would do to increase our bottom line is we would beg customers not to pay with an American Express credit card. Okay, really, we would cut them some good deals if any kind of customer would come in and pay with cash. And we would do deals that were, anywhere from about $10,000 upwards. One time we had a deal, it was about $120,000 just from one customer. And we were a landscape company that sold exotic palm trees and all sorts of trees that cost, tens of thousands of dollars. And so if a customer would pull out that Amex, I used to cringe because I used to get just destroyed by our owner when I was accepting Amex. Okay, so I started doing some research. Why is it such a big deal for me to accept American Express? I was young at the time, had no idea that credit cards were charging, us outrageous fees just for swiping that credit card. So Amex would charge us about 5% of the entire order just for the customer using a credit card. Now, other companies, they don't charge as much as American Express. Usually MasterCard and Visa is about 3%, depending on where you're at, where you live, and all that good stuff, what type of merchant you are, how much, transactions you settle in a year. But I remember anytime anybody would pull out that Amex, I would do anything, start giving them discounts, start cutting off, or start making deals just so they wouldn't pay for it, because 5% was going to go directly to the American Express. And this has been going on for years with credit card companies, and it's really the merchants who are getting just destroyed with these credit card fees. And I'm here to tell you, merchants are dying to start accepting crypto payments. Okay, they want to transact with cryptos because they're sick of paying these outrageous credit card fees to the companies. And it's really unfortunate because as a business, you're always trying to fight for that bottom line. You're always trying to keep your margins with the products and services you sell. And customers are going to pay with the credit card just because of the ease of transaction. It's so much easier just to swipe that card than carry around bundles of cash and spend bundles of cash. So that's the whole reason they accept it. Okay, merchants are always going to accept what the customers are paying with. And at the moment, the main way of paying is with the credit card. And so going back to my story, it used to drive me absolutely crazy, especially as a manager, because I would get, cussed out by the owner because I accepted that Amex, because it was just, a tremendous amount of fee. And because if the customer, that was all they had, or if they had a humongous order and the only line of credit they had to cover that huge order was an Amex, there was nothing we could do. And it was, unfortunate at the time. That's part of the reason why I, no longer work for that company, is I hated getting my ass chewed for accepting American Express. So, I'd sell $30,000 worth of inventory in a couple of minutes and get my ass chewed for it just because I accepted American Express. And I had absolutely nothing to do with the fees. Okay, so I'm not saying complain. I'm just saying I know what it's like to be in that merchant's position, accepting a credit card and just cringing while that thing's swiping, because okay, this $15,000 order, I'm about to lose 5% just in fees to the credit card company. So it's outrageous. Okay, and as a merchant, there's nothing you can do, because what are you going to do? Not accept credit cards? You're going to lose out on so many customers. And right now, these credit card companies have merchants by the teeth just because they have to accept it. They have to use it. And to think that these companies didn't get together and create some sort of collusion is, you're telling me Visa, MasterCard, and American Express didn't collude together to keep the fee minimum at 3%. They're not going to compete with each other to try to lower that fees. Yeah, it's obviously collusion to keep that fee at that 3% because they know merchants, they have to accept it. There's no way of there's no getting around it. All right. And so that was really my first experience with it. And I really think crypto payments is going to become a viable option. And I think merchants are really going to help push the way. And there's other types of payment systems that really took off because merchants starting allowing it and starting accepting it as a payment source. So if you look at PayPal, okay, why on earth would anyone start accepting PayPal as a payment service? Okay, and really before it took off and a lot of customers were using PayPal, merchants started and accepted this form of payment because it was a cheaper way at the time than accepting credit cards and paying anywhere from 3 to 5% fees. And these fees I'm only talking about is inside the United States. You go outside US with these other with foreign countries, especially developing countries, these fees are even more outrageous. I mean, I was looking at one time, it was like 8 to 12% just for accepting a credit card. So it's ridiculous. The merchants are having to give so much just to use. I mean, it's digital cash. It really costs a credit card company 12% just for you to swipe that card and transact that. No, it's ridiculous that they charge this amount. So my point being, though, is PayPal really got big when online merchants started and accepted it. Okay, because not everyone, a whole lot of people didn't know about PayPal, but you started seeing a lot of online stores accepting PayPal. And what really pushed customers to use that type of payment option was they didn't have to give up their credit card information. And that's one of the big selling points on cryptos. Okay, you can make a payment and the only type of information you have to give up is a public address. And I mean, that means nothing. Okay, I'm sure people could eventually somehow link up your public address to your identity, but that's not the point. You're not putting in information that could be stolen by somebody and they take that data and use your payment system from what they stole. So for example, if someone steals your public key, there's no way they can spend money from your Bitcoin or whatever crypto wallet with your public key. Okay, the only way to transfer money on the Bitcoin network is to have ownership of the private keys to that account. And I think that was one of the big selling points for crypto. And that's one of the things that really helped push PayPal to take off. Okay, as a consumer, if I'm buying something online, I don't have to put in my credit card information. And we all know how sketchy and hacky the internet can be, and taking people's credit card information and spinning it all over the net or selling it to someone else. And so that was a big selling point in PayPal. That's one of the main reasons I use PayPal, okay, for online transactions, because I don't want to have to give up my credit card and risk my information being stolen and people using my credit card on the web. So I use PayPal, even though I know as a consumer, I'm probably gonna have to pay a little bit more of a fee. Okay, I think PayPal is like what, 3%. And as a consumer, I know I'm going to have to pay that fee, and I'm okay with that because paying that fee is worth protecting my sensitive credit card. And that's one of the downsides to credit card payments is that you're always exposing the information to the world when you swipe your credit card, and it's not as complicated as people think to be able to set up a scanner or hack into people's credit card chips and steal their information and either sell their credit card online or start using it themselves for any type of purchase. And so that's going to be one of the big selling points for cryptos. Okay, now I can make a payment and I give up no information except that public key that's basically worthless to anybody except for just tracking and looking up a prior transaction. Okay, so no one can take your public Bitcoin key and spend your Bitcoins. It's impossible. All right, it's built into the system. All right, so that's going to be one of the big selling points. Now, what's really going to bring crypto payments massively adopted is having more merchants accept this type of payment. And I think merchants are going to be motivated to accept it because they're going to instantly eliminate the 3 to 5% credit card fees that these companies are getting slapped with all over the place. And the more merchants that start to accept cryptos and Bitcoin and whatever type of crypto payment they're looking at, that's really going to start pushing towards adoption because customers are going to start seeing these different types of payment options and being able to make a payment and not exposing all my private information that could leak out to the world and be taken from me, and people have access to my financial accounts. They don't have to give up that risk anymore. And people are going to be more willing to pay with crypto because crypto doesn't charge you a 3 to 5% fee. It doesn't charge you the 3% fee that PayPal does. So you can buy the same stuff at a cheaper cost with even more security, because technically, I guess your PayPal account, could get hacked. So if I'm paying with crypto, that's probably one of the most private and secure payment systems really out there right now. And the only downside to it, though, because there always are drawbacks, something like PayPal and credit card transactions, okay, if there is a dispute, you can technically get that reversed. Now, how often a bank or PayPal is going to reverse a disputed payment, I guess it depends on what you bought for, how much was it for. And so if you send money accidentally, or the merchant doesn't want to give you a refund when something broke, that would be the main downside. But I'm always a big believer of giving people and empowering individuals with making their own monetary and financial transactions, and being totally in control of sending their finances, sending their money. Okay, so I don't really view that too much as a negative. I know other people may view it as a negative. Me personally, I think it's worth not exposing my precious financial data. I also think it's worth not paying another fee on top of sending digital cash. And it really just grinds me that we have to pay all these outrageous transaction fees and stuff like that with banks and banks and PayPal just to send digital cash. It's all electronic. It requires them no energy and no money. Okay, when you make a PayPal transaction, what's going on behind the scenes does not justify slapping on a 3% fee that I have to pay, because it's all automated. All right. But as a company, they've got to pay employees. They've got to buy real estate. They've got to buy advertisement. They got to do all those types of things, pay people to keep them compliant, all that stuff. And so that's why they charge a fee. The good thing about cryptos, that stuff don't exist. Okay. And I think crypto payment options are becoming more viable every single day. More merchants accept crypto every single day than those that turn away from accepting crypto. Okay, so crypto payments are going up and up and up and up, especially on a global level. Now, if you're listening to this and you live in America, it's going to take a little bit more time to get here. Okay, in the US, we are fortunate enough to have one of the strongest currencies in the world for the time being. Okay, and so we really don't care that much about making crypto payments, but around the world where individuals and merchants are just getting destroyed by banks and credit card companies with outrageous fees, crypto is a very viable option. Or you go to a country where the currency has just gone through so much volatility and just been inflated out the roof. You really want to buy and accept with cryptos. And this happens all the time in developing countries. Is the bank runs out of cash. Okay, so people store the money in the bank, and they can't get the money out to pay for groceries, pay for clothes, pay for the things they need. With crypto, that doesn't happen. So if you're making payments completely with Bitcoin, you will never not be able to spend your Bitcoin as long as you have access to those private keys. Now, if you lose those private keys, you're in trouble. But that's the main difference between crypto payments, throughout developing countries compared to crypto payments in developed countries like America, Britain, Germany, something like that. So those countries, it's going to take a little bit more time to become adopted. Really, in the developed countries where I see people making a lot of crypto payments is going to be online. Kind of like how PayPal really took off, is it mostly started online, and people are going to have the incentive to use crypto online because they don't have to punch in their credit card information and get a chance of it getting hacked. They also won't have to pay the 3% fee that PayPal charges. They'll just be able to send crypto and just have to pay a little mining fee. Okay, and I think right now the Ethereum network is a few cents. I think Bitcoin's a couple cents. It just depends on how bottlenecked it gets. And I know the biggest knock against Bitcoin is as it becomes more popular, more people use it, the network gets bottlenecked and transactions take longer, and people start increasing the fees just to get their Bitcoin mined faster. But they're creating stuff to prevent that from happening. And I'm not talking about Bitcoin Cash. I'm not talking about that garbage Bitcoin SV. I'm talking about the Lightning Network. Okay. And so the Lightning Network is increasing in popularity. It's getting better and better each day. There's a company called Moon that actually allows you to use the Lightning Network and make Amazon payments through the Lightning Network. So you can buy stuff on Amazon now with crypto, with Bitcoin. Okay. And using the Lightning Network, they actually allow you to purchase whatever goods you want to. Now, this isn't something Amazon started up. Okay. This is something that company called Moon started up. And Amazon really hasn't incorporated it. Is what they do is they process the transaction for you. You pay a small fee, and then from Amazon they buy that good or product, and the rest is history. It gets to you. But it's just one more step in the right direction for accepting crypto payments. Okay, and banks and other companies are going to start bringing in crypto payment type services, but users need to be wary. They're going to bring in their traditional banking fees with that. And like I said before, banks don't charge these fees because they're necessary for the cost of the transaction. It costs them no money for transactions to be processed online. They pay fees because what do banks have? They have nice office buildings. Okay, they got nice branch locations. All right, they got to pay all their employees. That's why I like crypto. They don't have all that. Okay, so crypto doesn't impose outrageous fees, and they can't impose even more outrageous fees on merchants and people in developing countries. Okay, it's fixed based on what the gas fee is or what the miners are charging, whatever it may be. All right, so the Lightning Network is improving. It's getting better each single day. There's more and more companies developing on it to try to get that thing implemented. And I think it's going to be real big for Bitcoin payments. There's a couple other companies that are really doing some stuff. And the one I've really had my eye on is MPXS. Okay, and this isn't very big in the United States, but MPXS, also called Pundi X, is they've created an entire point of sale system that stores can purchase, and customers can make payments in different types of crypto. So it's not just MPXS. It could be MPXS. It could be their other token. I think it's a Pundi FX. They also take Bitcoin, Litecoin, Ethereum, and they also have it on a debit card that you can load up your different cryptos on that card, swipe with whatever payment you want to pay with, and the Pundi X point of sale system will process that transaction. And the good news is, let's say the merchant charges, they only accept Bitcoin. And let's say as a holder, I only own Litecoin. Well, their point of sale system will make that transaction for the customer, for the merchant. And so people don't have to carry, this specific type of crypto on there. And to me, that's big for crypto adoption, especially in developing countries. I'll post something in the description about the fees that the credit card companies charge outside the United States in developing countries. And it almost makes you sick at the amount that they charge people, because you're looking at people that are, work their ass off, struggle, fight every single day to keep their business alive. And every time someone swipes that credit card, a huge chunk of their profit is going straight to these credit card companies. And the only reason it's accepted is because there's no other option. There's no way around it. If you're not accepting fiat, in a lot of these countries, fiat is garbage. Okay, you go to Venezuela, you can literally pull their Venezuelan pesos out of the garbage can. All right, their money has literally turned into garbage. It just litters the street because they've overinflated it, where it's just outrageously, people don't even want it. People wipe their ass with it just because it's so worthless. And so countries like this, they need cryptos. All right, especially when you have a corrupt government that controls the money supply and just prints out tremendous amounts of the fiat. Having a decentralized network that can't do that is big for these developing countries and the people who work so hard for that money that just basically gets robbed from them through hyperinflation. Okay. And so another one I really like besides Pundi X is Stellar's IBM, the partnership they created with their WorldWire. Okay. WorldWire allows banks and financial institutions to settle transactions across the world without long delays, without outrageous fees. And although it's at the moment, it's currently really for financial institutions, I really see merchants being able to tap into this and be able to settle tremendous amounts of cash cross borders without, like I said, those long delays and those high transaction fees. And I really think this is going to revolutionize how payments are made cross-border. I think it's bigger for bigger financial institutions. Maybe not so much for your mom and pop shop, but eventually I think they're going to be able to jump into that system and be able to use Stellar's, IBM's WorldWire for making cross-border payments. Okay. And anytime you can help change something in the remittance industry and the cross-border payment industry, because those markets are just continuously growing as a population gets bigger, and we continuously transact on a global scale more often. Okay, so those things are just going to keep going up and up and up. And I really do believe, though, merchants are going to be the driving factor as they begin to be encouraged to accept crypto type payments. And people are going to start seeing that. People are going to notice when they say Bitcoin's accepted here, when people say, hey, we were connected to the Lightning Network, or we accept MPXS, we accept all these different cryptos. People are going to pay attention to that. And it's not so much the older generations that are going to pay attention, it's the younger generations. And if you think that teenagers and people in their younger 20s aren't using crypto, you're crazy. Okay, 13-year-old kids are minting their own ERC20 tokens and distributing them to their friends. These are the next generation of money holders and money spenders. In using fiat, I don't foresee them using it very long. Okay, and eventually everything's going to be digital anyways. The cash money idea, that can't last around forever, especially as it does get hyperinflated. And I think that's the one way developed countries are going to try to get out of, people perceiving inflation, is they just get rid of the cash fiat, and then it's all digital. Then they, have free reign to inflate it as they want, which is kind of scary, because one thing that people really notice with inflation is just the amount of stacks of dollars you have. Eventually it gets to the point where it's more of a burden to carry all this money that has barely any worth to it than it is, just leave it home and not use it. So that's really how, when people really start noticing inflations, when they start, sweeping all their currency off the ground just because so many people throw it on there, is because it became worthless through inflation. So I think crypto payments are going to take off. It may take, another decade for it to really reach developed countries, because I think it's going to start big online. I think it's going to start big with developing countries, and it's just going to kind of trickle its way out to developed countries. And if you really talk to the people who know a lot about crypto and blockchain, at some point, most crypto payment users may not even know they're paying with a blockchain. Okay, they may just load up their card from some company, and that company just transfers that cash into crypto, makes the payment, and then sends it back to whatever leftover change. So Andreas Antonopoulos, he's a big believer that most people in the future, when they use crypto, when they use blockchain, they won't even have any idea. It'll all be on the back end of stuff, and they're still going to use it. They just won't have an idea. And it's kind of you want to compare it to using HTTPS on the internet. Most people use the internet have no idea of these protocols, but they use them every single day. So it's not important necessarily to understand the ins and outs of blockchains, the ins and outs of cryptos to be able to use it. Most people don't understand credit card transactions, okay, but they still use them. And I just, it's a damn shame that credit card companies charge this much. It's mainly based off the fact that they can do it, okay, not the fact that they need to stay in business, but the fact that they can rip merchants off with these high fees. And if you look at credit cards that, give all these promotions, give all these cash back, this is how they do it. Most people think, well, credit cards can offer me 3% cash back or 1% cash back on my purchases, because most people don't pay off their credit card balances in full every month, so they get hit with that 14% APR fee. But really, the people footing the bill for these cash back programs are the merchants. And when you swipe with that Visa, MasterCard, it's 3% plus. When you swipe with that Amex, it's 5% plus. And I'm telling you, merchants cringe. Now, as a consumer, you can say, hey, I really don't give a damn. Okay, I'm not the merchant. I'm not the one losing money on it. But what people, a lot of times fail to realize is, as a consumer, you do pay for that, because companies are going to protect their margins. The only way they can stay in business is when they sell a product, they have enough margin. And the only way to keep those margins after the credit card companies are hitting them with these fees is to raise their prices. So as a consumer, you do have an interest and a motivation to want to make crypto payments because it will allow products and goods to be cheaper. Anytime you can get rid of a 3 to 5% fee, those merchants can then just lower their products and save the consumer money. Okay, it allows them to be more competitive in the marketplace. The last thing you want with a merchant is to be slapped with government and fees from all sorts of companies and corporations, because as a consumer, you do feel the back end of that. It may not be directly, but the more fees merchant pays, the higher they're going to have to raise their prices, the more money that's going to come out of your pocket as a crypto holder. All right, so I think it's just going to take off with crypto payments. It's going to take some time. And like I said before, I believe the big gateway is getting them to online stores. And as a consumer, I may not know it directly that's going to save me money on the long run, but what I can do immediately is I can protect my precious credit card information from being exposed to the web and even exposed to credit card swipers that could have some sort of hacking system on there and steals and jacks your credit card information. Okay, so this has been today's podcast. Make sure you subscribe to my YouTube channel. Make sure you check out my blog. Make sure you follow me on Twitter. The only way for me to provide you with the best crypto information and news is if you follow and subscribe to all my channels. Make sure you leave me your comments and feedbacks. Tell me what you think about the show. If you disagree with anything I have to say about crypto payments, let me know about it. I do want to have a debate about it. All right. I like communicating with my followers and getting into good arguments with them when they disagree with what I have to say. So make sure you leave me your feedback. Make sure you subscribe to my channel. Thanks for watching the BlockNation Crypto Podcast. As always, I'm your host, Drew Griffin. Make sure you check this show out every single morning on my YouTube channel. I also post links to Twitter, and check out the links I provided in the description. Thanks for watching.